afternoon, everyone. Call to order. The September 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Seattle City Council will come to order. It is 2:02. I'm Sarah Nelson, Council President. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Saka? Here. Councilmember Solomon?
Here.
Councilmember Strauss? Here. Councilmember Hollingsworth?
Present.
Councilmember Juarez?
Present.
Councilmember Kettle?
Here.
Councilmember Rink?
Present.
Council President Nelson?
Present.
9 present.
All right. Okay. Our first item is on the agenda, says presentations. So, colleagues, we're about to enter into the time of the year that most calls forth our action on our two top responsibilities, which is to allocate money to pay for government and also to improve the lives of our constituents, and also our oversight function. And we're going into this budget season armed with a lot of material. If you would recall, last year, a record number of statements of legislative intent, which is basically requests to departments to provide information, among other things. But that's primarily what slides do, and we are in a position to be better informed this year as we enter into evaluation of the proposed budget and each other's proposed amendments. So with that, I'd like to welcome Andrew Meyerberg, the Mayor's Chief of Staff, who will be transmitting the Mayor Harrell's proposed budget to the City Council and for inclusion in item 1 on today's agenda. Andrew Meyerberg, you're recognized in order to address the Council.
Thank you, Council President Nelson and Council members, for welcoming the Executive to Chambers today to present Mayor Harrell's 2026 budget. My name is Andrew Meyerberg. I'm the Mayor's Chief of Staff. Since the spring, and in close coordination with Director Dan Eder, I have been responsible for helping respond to the April forecast, as well as for helping develop our budget. Our city and region have suffered from the economic uncertainty and significant swings in forecasted revenue that are the results of the volatile federal climate and the policies of the Trump administration. We've also been forced to reckon with continual threats to federal funding from the Trump administration, requiring us to create contingency plans to deal with the specter of losing significant resources. Mayor Harrell took swift action in April through a hiring freeze, through a freeze on travel training expenditures, and a freeze on new technology purchases. We directed departments to underspend their budgets, and in collaboration with the council, we advanced a B&O tax restructuring for the voters' consideration in November that both raises revenue and cuts taxes for 90% of businesses. Today, it is my privilege to present Mayor Harrell's balanced budget proposal to Council. Because of the Mayor's leadership and partnership with the City Council, we've been able to avoid cuts and new layoffs that would impact the delivery of core city services. We believe that this budget recognizes and reflects our city's shared priorities. Our budget increases affordability, including a record level investment in affordable housing, a program to bring housing equity to those subject to historic discrimination, a wage increase for our human services providers, and an expanded Back to Business Fund to support and incentivize small businesses. It addresses homelessness, including more non-congregate shelter with needed wraparound services and funding to protect against potential federal cuts to shelter. Our budget supports public safety and public health, including increasing care crisis responders and 911 dispatchers, supporting record-level hiring at SPD, adding more recruits to SFD, and expanding investments in substance use, mental illness, and diversion programming. And it strengthens our federal response, including a 70% increase in OIRA's budget, increasing fresh bucks by 50%, and expanding and stabilizing emergency rental assistance. As Mayor Harrell said in his budget address video shared earlier today, this is a budget I'm proud of because it invests in our city, in our people, in the future of Seattle, not in the narrative that Donald Trump and his allies spin about our city, but in the things that we want to define our city. This is a plan to invest in innovation and problem solving, in affordable housing and healthy food, in trees, parks, transit, and the arts. It's an investment in ensuring what we love about the city doesn't fade away, but only grows. The Mayor's Office, the City Budget Office, and city departments look forward to your consideration of these proposed investments, knowing that you are about to embark on a swift process to shape and refine the final budget. We are committed to providing you with the information that you need to make fully informed trade-off decisions that will serve the people of Seattle over the year ahead. I'd like to again acknowledge and thank Budget Director Dan Eder and the staff at the City Budget Office who have worked tirelessly over the last several months. I want to thank our city departments and their staff and our team at the Mayor's Office for their efforts to make this budget possible. I want to thank Central Staff Director Ben Noble and Council Central Staff for the work that's still yet to come to both digest and help you analyze this budget. And lastly, I want to thank all of you, council members, for your upcoming deliberations and your upcoming partnership. We all share similar values. We want our city to be affordable, safe, welcoming, and vibrant. We look forward to the transparent and comprehensive discussions that we will have about this budget and to reaching the goal of a final budget that advances these values and supports all Seattleites. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Colleagues, at this time we'll enter the hybrid public comment period. Could you please explain how many people have signed up to speak? Thank you all. As they're leaving the hall, I just want to recognize several members of the mayor's cabinet.
We have 10 remote and about 15 in person.
Speakers will be called in the order in which they are registered. Speakers will hear a chime when 10 seconds are left of their time. Speakers' mics will be muted if they do not end their comments within the allotted time to allow us to call on the next speaker.
Excuse me, I think that there was a shuffle as folks were leaving and we were grabbing the sign-up sheet, Jody, and so we're going to go with the in-person public comment speakers. How many did you say? 2?
We have about 10 in person and 15 person, 10 remote.
Thank you very much. We have 17 items on our agenda for to actually vote on. So I will provide 1 minute to speak for each person, and we'll start with we'll just do 10 and then return to the in-person.
Okay, thank you. We will start with Rachel Snell, then Leah Martin and Daniel Ovando.
Can everybody hear me okay? Hello, Council President Nelson and members of City Council. My name is Rachel Snell. I'm testifying proudly in favor of Councilmember Ring's Roots to Rivers pilot program. We've seen countless neighborhoods, Seattleites pushed out by gentrification, rising costs, and predatory practices. This pilot program would help address these harms, create more community-centered housing, potentially even some social housing, and doesn't cost the city much money. Many people I work with here in downtown have been price gouged out of being able to afford rent here, causing them to move further away from their work, causing an increase in commute time to and from work. This piece of legislation is essential, especially when we start to approach cooler weather here in Seattle. No one should be having to fear freezing to death outside due to lack of affordable housing. On top of it all, progressive revenue is a must-have for the city. We all must agree that we need to tax wealthy corporations. Thank you.
You have Leah Martin, Daniel Ovando, and then Rick.
Hello, Council. My name is Leah Martin, co-founder of Allied 8 Architects. We partner with community-based organizations, CBOs, like the Central Area Youth Association, the African Cultural Arts Center, the Hillman City Center for the Arts, and the Brighton neighborhood to design affordable housing and community spaces. Last year, this chamber debated why EDI projects took so long. The truth is, raising funds, designing, and building affordable spaces takes years, and our zoning code adds major financial burdens to that. The Roots to Roofs pilot legislation offers real relief by removing costly barriers like contract rezones, design review, and mandatory parking, cutting project costs sometimes up to 20%. For CBOs, that 20% can make or break the project. This legislation puts power in the hands of the communities where it belongs. Please vote yes to Roots to Roofs.
We have Daniel, then Rick, and then following Rick will be, I believe it's Chetty.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Danny Ovando, and I'm the CFO for African Community Housing and Development. And I'm here to express our organization's strong support for Roots to Roofs pilot, co-sponsored by council members Rink and Solomon. This pilot directly addresses the financial feasibility hurdles that have historically plagued equitable development for decades. It offers greater development potential and increasing our floor areas and in height in most zones, and ensures that community-based organizations like ours maintain a majority stake in the land, with an amendment under consideration to secure development stake as well. At ACHD, we are currently developing 72 permanently affordable transit-oriented housing. Projects that, within our projects, we combine housing, small business incubation, and cultural space. These types of community-driven projects are exactly what this pilot will make possible across the city. We urge you to pass the Roots to Roof pilot. Thank you.
After Rick, we'll have Chetty and then Eric Kennedy.
Good afternoon, Seattle City Council. I'm Rick Pulintan. I'm the Vice President of the Board of the Filipino Community of Seattle. The Filipino Community of Seattle strongly support the Roots to Roof initiative, which aims to address Seattle's affordable housing crisis. This initiative focuses on community-led housing projects, particularly benefiting communities of color that have been disproportionately affected by housing issues. We believe that the Roots to Roof initiative has the potential to create affordable housing for working families in Southeast Seattle. This project is not just a housing solution, it is a lifeline for many families striving to achieve stability and prosperity in our community. The high cost of living in Seattle has made it increasingly difficult for many to find safe, stable, and affordable homes. Isn't it great for Seattle leaders to see such community-driven efforts are being to tackle housing challenges? Thank you.
We have Chetty, and please state your name if I mispronounce it into the record. Thank you. And then Eric Kennedy and Steve.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Chetty McAfee, and I'm the Executive Director of Central Area Youth Association. And perhaps some of your family members have even come through our center. We've had many generations. CAY has been around for over 70 years. Oh, well, 60, but almost 70, I'll say it like that. But we are really thrilled. We've been at this since 2019, trying to get our project done. We're very, very proud. But personally, I've marched with Eddie Rye when redlining, when gentrification was happening. I was with Washington Can on the leadership team when people were losing their homes. CAYA has now an opportunity to bring some of that community back, and I'm really excited about that. So we can add another layer to our legacy of bringing those grandchildren who would like to live back into the community. So I thank you for today, and I'm praying that this will pass. Thank you.
We have Eric Kennedy, Steve Rubstello, and then Donald King.
Hello, can you hear me? My name is Eric Kennedy, and I work with the National Youth Rights Association. I'm here to ask the City of Seattle to extend voting rights to minors to vote in city elections. Seattle's youth should have the same voting rights as Seattle adult residents. Voting is a human right, not a privilege, and minors are people too. Thank you.
Steve, Donald King, Elena Arakaki.
Well, as Reagan would say, here we go again. I'm speaking on your Roots to Roofs. The good zoning and the good policies on land use in the city of Seattle, I ask you to look simply out the window and see how well they have treated us. All of the people who on the council who seem to favor more housing seem to favor only more housing when developers make more money. I think we need to save the existing housing that's here and not work so much with the 80%, which I understand is around 90,000, Those poor people at 90,000 need to have housing at the expense of the rest. We have almost moved all the working class people out of the city. You're doing a marvelous job of doing that. But we need to take a look at keeping hold of the resources that we do have and make sure that we build for the people who need it.
Donald King, Elena Arakaki, and then I believe it's Bennett. Oh, yes, Bennett Helson.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, council members. I'm Donald King, and I'm testifying as a private citizen and resident of the 7th Councilmanic District. I support the passage of the Roots to Roof legislation because, number one, the proposed allowances for profit and nonprofit partnerships are a tool to help produce more affordable homes. No one has to use this tool. Number two, market rate housing and affordable housing can and should coexist. No one has to participate or live in mixed income housing. A development does not have to be 75% for-profit partnership to qualify for the bonuses. The percentages split can be negotiated. Children raised in mixed income housing have a better view of upward mobility than those trapped in perpetual subsidized housing ghettos. No one has to live in mixed income housing because of this legislation. And fifth, emerging Black developers can use these density bonuses in a partnership with community-based nonprofits, making these developments financially feasible and resulting in a win-win for both. No one has to do this. Thank you.
We have Elena and then Bennett, and then we'll move into remote speakers.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Elena Arakaki, and I am representing Friends of Little Saigon. I'm here today to ask you to support the Roots to Roofs pilot program to create much-needed affordable housing in Seattle. The Roots to Roofs program is an opportunity to prevent further displacement and right historic wrongs by increasing the amount of housing in places that have had racially restrictive covenants. In previous letters about the comp plan, we have advocated for more density in these areas, which have not taken on their fair share of development. We are also happy to see that this proposal includes other equitable development uses, such as cultural space, commercial kitchens, health clinics, and places to be in community. We need more of these community building opportunities and services to bring people together and support each other in times of increasing social isolation. The upcoming Little Saigon Landmark Project is being built with the community at the forefront, and we look forward to seeing more of these community-centered spaces pop up in the city. Friends of Little Saigon supports the Roots to Roofs proposal, and we urge you to support the bill and make it easier to create housing that our city needs. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm Bennett again. I would like to invite you once again to consider a Reddit Q&A format or something similar when you're trying to push something controversial through, like the notorious surveillance bill. Obviously, you had the numbers to get it passed anyway, but it's looking like it might contribute to some people losing re-election because it was so horrifically unpopular. And a Reddit Q&A format allows you to get into a better back and forth about why you're doing certain things. Existing public comment format, you have huge numbers of people lining up, often reiterating the same points. It's a very good way to get a gauge of how many people feel very strongly about something, but it's not a good way to do the back and forth. Whereas on Reddit, you can have some people make the same points, and then you respond to their points, and then other people can follow up on your response. Like when we said, well, we have legal protection. Many people talked about the risk of the feds getting the camera data, and then when it was all over, that's when Kettle said, we have legal protections, and then other people could counter, well, but you can keep the camera data after 5 days, even if they request it. That's the kind of thing of back and forth you can have a Reddit Q&A, you can't have a public comment. Thank you.
We'll now move into remote speakers.
A reminder to our remote speakers, please press *6 after you've heard the message that you have been unmuted. Our first remote speaker will be Howard Gale, followed by Brady Nordstrom, and then June Blue Spruce. Go ahead, Howard.
Good afternoon, Howard Gale. Over 156,000 Seattleites who are foreign-born are now under imminent threat, as are their family members or anyone who might just look or sound foreign. Those who for a time escaped kidnapping, detention, or deportation will still face the daily fear and trauma from simple routine acts like going to work, going shopping, taking their children to school, going to church, or enjoying cultural and religious festivals, never knowing when or where they might be abducted. They and their loved ones will face life-altering traumas. The question is, in the coming years, do we want to be the Americans of the 1940s who could only say, we were good, we did not help send folks to internment camps? Or do we want to be able to say we did what we could to prevent folks from being taken? Toward this goal, last Wednesday, the 36th Legislative District Democrats unanimously passed a resolution calling upon the City Council to create legislation requiring Seattle police officers to act directly and affirmatively to protect Fourth Amendment rights of all Seattle residents.
Our next speaker is Brady Nordstrom, followed by June Blue Spruce. Go ahead, Brady.
Hi there. My name is Brady Nordstrom, and I'm with HGC. I'm also here to share comments from the Seattle for Everyone Coalition, which has members that have been working for years in both Seattle and the state to reform design review to be more efficient, predictable, and inclusive. There's abundant evidence that design review impacts housing creation and affordability. State lawmakers also saw this link and passed ESHB 1293, mandating local changes to the program. In short, we strongly support the interim design review legislation CB 121048. This includes the amendments 1 and 2. This is going to be a critical step in a years-long effort to reform Seattle's design review. We can't fix all of the factors that impact housing creation locally, but we can control permitting and review. So thanks in advance for supporting this legislation and for your continued commitment for the permanent legislation. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be June Blue Spruce, followed by Jennifer Godfrey, and then Megan Cruz. Go ahead, June.
Hi, I'm June Blue Spruce from District 2, and I urge you not to vote on Council Bill 121011, the Roots to Roofs pilot today. The publicly posted comment period was only 7 days, half the length required by city and state law. Last week, you voted on over 100 amendments to sweeping changes in Seattle zoning laws. I doubt that you know exactly what you voted for or what the impact will be on Seattle's neighborhoods. I know I don't. Most people don't. It's not the right time to approve a pilot that will allow huge buildings in 35 Seattle neighborhoods. It's labeled a pilot, but those buildings are permanent. This bill has huge flaws. It doesn't ensure that benefits would go to those impacted by historical injustices. Its affordability provisions are inadequate. It doesn't require family-sized units. It doesn't require that housing be built at all. Please don't bring up the bill for a vote. If you do, vote no. If you're going to vote yes, please amend it significantly. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jennifer Godfrey, followed by Megan Cruz. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, I am reading this testimony on behalf of my friend Lois Martin, who couldn't be here today. Lois urges you to vote no on CB 121011, referred to as the Roots to Roofs pilot. This legislation is reckless, dangerous, and anti-Black, essentially connecting communities 2.0 with weaker affordability requirements. None of the pilot projects are required to include affordable housing. Developers can build without a single home. And when housing is included, one amendment changes the affordability language to a vague statement with no firm guarantee these projects will serve Black, brown, and working class families most at risk of displacement. That is not equity, it is erasure. The council also failed to follow the customary 14-day public comment period after the publication of a land use bulletin cutting community voices out. Please vote no if all of Councilmember Hollingsworth's amendments are not adopted. If not, please vote no and listen to King County Equity Now, Democrats for Diversity and Inclusion, Keep Your Habitat, CANIC, and the African American Veterans Group of Washington State, along with.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Megan Cruz, who will be followed by Julie Holland and then Shirley Beresford. Go ahead, Megan.
Good afternoon. I'm Megan Cruz, speaking today on CB 121048, asking you to please vote no on Amendment 2. This amendment doubles down on keeping downtown residents only out of the citywide design review program, even after the rest of Seattle returns to the revised state process next spring. After studying design review for 4 years, the city issued a comprehensive report last year. It did not support the claim that design review either added significant cost or time to new development. A report by the city auditor on permit delays never even mentions design review. Please explain what facts support cutting off 108,000 people living, working, and paying taxes in downtown from having a voice in their neighborhood. And why has the city not reached out to the public in soliciting feedback from the new design guidelines? People living in hoods are stakeholders too. Please vote no on Amendment 2 and treat all Seattle residents alike. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Julie Holland, followed by Shirley Beersford. Go ahead, Julie.
Yes. Dear council members, I am Julie Holland, a South Lake Union Community Council board member and South Lake Union resident in District 7. My concern, CB 121048 exempts all of Seattle from design review until next spring, while the city works to adopt new state provisions. But Amendment 2 goes further. Do you know why this amendment is being proposed? It is certainly not clear to 108,000 of us who live in downtown and whose voice will be eliminated. We know design review has been cited by some as the cause of a lengthy, thus costly permitting process. Evidence suggests that design review is not the problem. A 2022 design review study done for City Council did make claims, some of which were refuted by SDCI and the City Attorney's Office, or our City Auditor's Office, excuse me. Please vote no on Amendment 2.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shirley Beersford, followed by Ruby Holland. Go ahead, Shirley.
Hello, my name is Shirley Beresford. I'm addressing Agenda Item 9, CB 121048, and urge you to vote no on Amendment 2. I strongly support the focus on increasing affordable housing in Seattle while urging inclusion of client-centered approaches that are sustainable. Client-centered approaches include providing flexible housing types, and sustainable approaches include provision of stable funding for maintenance of the affordable housing that's built. Here is where I'm deeply troubled by the removal of all guardrails from development in the downtown core, not just for another 6 months, but for another 2 years, as Amendment 2 proposes. It's clear that providing and maintaining affordable housing is complex. Exempting building proposals from design review for any additional period is not good governance. Design review does need to be reimagined, but removing it entirely from early public input is misguided. Please vote no on Amendment 2 and
Thank you. And our last remote speaker will be Ruby Holland. Go ahead, Ruby. Ruby, you may need to press *6. There you go.
This is Ruby Holland. Please reject Roots to Roof. To expect homeowners to give up their affordable homes in order to create apartments that they can't even afford to live in is unconscionable, and it should be criminal. To expect struggling nonprofits to be able to pencil this project when they are having such a hard time is not sensible. Please reject this bill. There doesn't seem to have been enough time for people to even talk about it good as we are going through the amendment. It's a sneaky way of putting things through, and I'm asking you to please reject it, put it over till another date, and we could have more time to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go back to in-person speakers.
Okay, we're going to start with Brian McKinnisker, if I'm not mistaken, please. And then we have Slayman and then Garrett.
Thank you, Council President Nelson and council members. It's good to see everyone again. It seems like it's been pretty regular over the last 2 weeks. Ryan McKinster, I'm here on behalf of Habitat for Humanity of Seattle, King, and Kittitas County. Speaking in support of 2 bills today, the Roots to Roofs and the interim legislation to deal with design review. We strongly support the Roots to Roofs pilot program. It aligns well with our mission to strengthen, stabilize, and create self-reliance through shelter. This pilot allows qualifying community development organizations like ours to participate, ensuring vulnerable residents not only have a place to live, but the ability for home ownership and the opportunity to build generational wealth. We particularly support targeting sites with racially restrictive covenants, which helps address systemic barriers to home ownership that Habitat works to dismantle. In addition, places for us to build and create projects is not the only help we need. The permitting process, the review process adds time. At the beginning of a project, that is the most expensive money that we have on loan. So we'd appreciate your support for that bill today as well. Thank you.
Slayman, then Garrett, and then Jesse Simpson.
Hi, my name is Slayman with the Chamber of Youth Community. I'm here in support of the Roots to Roof pilot and urge council to pass it. The intent of the pilot was not to address to totally address the housing issues that we have in the city, but it's just a tool that the city can use towards addressing that. So it's one of the methods, and we hope that we can learn from it and expand on it. So I urge the council to pass it, helping communities and families, organizations, individuals remain anchored in their communities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President and Council members. My name is Garrett Plesko Moore. I'm a renter in District 3, proud resident of the central area. I am speaking today in deep support of Roots to Roofs. I live in Seattle, and it's the home for my partner and I, yet our rent has doubled in just over 5 years, and I know I'm not alone in that struggle. We have ample data on the areas of the city with the highest risk of displacement, and we also know how to help decrease displacement across our city. Affordable housing for workers, seniors, and families throughout the city. I'm grateful for the leadership of community-based organizations that stand to be empowered by Roots to Roofs, like CAYA and Habitat for Humanity, Urban Families, and so many more. And so let's help these nonprofits and other community leaders develop the legacy projects that can help families stay and even return to Seattle. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Jess Simpson with the Housing Development Consortium, here today to speak in strong support of the Roots to Roofs pilot program. Seattle has a deep housing shortage. Too many people, families, seniors, people with disabilities simply can't afford to live here. We need more affordable homes, and that means removing all the barriers that stand in their way. This pilot program does exactly that. It gives nonprofit and public developers flexibility from zoning rules to maximize the potential of sites. Additional height, floor area, and relief from costly requirements like design review and parking requirements to help turn planned homes into reality. The pilot ensures that at least 25% of the homes be affordable for 50 years, and it's open to all nonprofits, housing authorities, and public development authorities. These are mission-oriented organizations with deep roots in our communities and a long-term commitment to serving low-income families and individuals. This pilot program is a great way for the city to put affordable housing first, let up to 35 developments move forward. I urge you to pass Roots to Roofs. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, this isn't before you all right now, but I was here 2 weeks ago. There was like 100+ people here to talk about the surveillance bill, and I disagree with the vote, but I want to say all the staff was extremely polite. I regret that somebody threatened to eat you all, but there was a lot of contempt expressed from certain members of the council. Somebody said this was clearly an orchestrated response, which I wish, and somebody else wanted to lecture these, I don't know, street kids on their privilege. It just didn't seem, I just want you all to think about how that was received. Those people came in here, they spent hours, and unlike y'all, it wasn't their job, and it felt a little harsh. Okay.
That was the last registered speaker. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we've come to the end of the list of public speakers, so the public comment period is now closed. Will the clerk please read item 1 into the record? Oh yeah, forgot the usual. All right, so if there's no objection, the introduction and referral calendar will be adopted. Hearing none, the introduction and referral calendar is adopted. And if there's no objection, the agenda will be adopted. Seeing none, the agenda is adopted. Now we'll consider the proposed consent calendar. And the items are the minutes of September 16th, 2025, and Council Bill 121084, payment of the bills. Anybody want to take one of those things off? Nope. All right. Hearing none, I move to adopt the consent calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the consent calendar. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent calendar?
Councilmember Rivera,
Aye.
Councilmember Saka,
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon,
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss,
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth,
Aye.
Councilmember Juarez,
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rink,
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The consent calendar items are adopted. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the minutes and the legislation on the consent calendar on my behalf? Now moving on. Will the clerk please read item 1 into the record?
The report of the City Council, Agenda Item 1, Clerk File 314543, Mayor Bruce Harrell's budget address on the 2026 proposed budget.
Thank you. I move to accept the file, Clerk File 314543. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept and file the clerk file as a sponsor, I'll address it by simply saying that by charter, the mayor is obligated to formally present the proposed budget at a meeting of the City Council. And it's our responsibility to recognize receipt of the proposed budget, which is what this vote will be doing. So, are there any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on accepting and filing the clerk file?
Councilmember Rivera,
Aye.
Councilmember Saka,
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon, Councilmember Strauss, Councilmember Strauss,
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez,
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rink,
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
All right. Game on. Will the clerk please read item 2 into the record?
Agenda Item 2, Council Bill 121071, relating to Seattle Fire Code, clarifying provisions related to preventable alarms and securing of premises.
All right. I move to pass Council Bill 121071. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to pass the bill. Councilmember Kettle is sponsor of the bill. You're recognized in order to address it.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, this bill is essentially a cleanup bill of the fire code. There's no new policy in it. The updates reference, the revised Code of Washington, the RCW. It also allows for properly signed statements in lieu of requiring a specific employee to be, quote unquote, sworn in. It assists in our dangerous building abatement bill that we passed last year, our first bill out of the Public Safety Committee meeting that has been very successful by cleaning up language, for example, noting that offense can be included as shall be secured and protected for that property. I should note, just in 25, there's been 33 of these dangerous buildings, 33 demolished in 2025, 22 have been remodeled, fences and remediated for a total of 55, which on top of 24's numbers is well over 100. This is making a difference for our neighborhoods and for our communities. Also, it does a clarification for responsibility for false alarms, basically saying that the owner shall be responsible for any preventable fire alarm. So basically, it's just a cleanup bill as it relates to the fire code, and it helps and assists the even more use and the work of the dangerous building abatement legislation that we passed last year. And I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera,
Aye.
Councilmember Saka,
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon,
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss,
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth,
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez,
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle,
Aye.
Councilmember Rink,
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And moving on to number 3, will the clerk please read it for the record?
Agenda item 3, Council Bill 121082, relating to unsworn declarations, updating references to state law on unsworn declarations by amending all references to RCW 9A 72.085 to Chapter 5.50 RCW and amending section Seattle Municipal Code sections.
All right, I move to pass Council Bill 121082. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pass the bill, and as sponsor of it, I will address it before opening the floor to questions or comments. So, colleagues, this is a highly technical bill that came to us from the City Attorney's Office. The standards for subscribing to unsworn declarations were contained in RCW 9A.72.085 for nearly 40 years. As a result, several evidentiary proceedings in the Seattle Municipal Code refer to it. In 2019, the Washington State Legislature repealed RCW 9A72085, combining its materials into Chapter 5.50 RCW, formerly the Uniform Unsworn Foreign Declarations Act, and converting the chapter into the Uniform Unsworn Declarations Act. Now, this repeal caused every municipal code in the state that referred to that bill, that RCW 9A72085, to point to the wrong area of the law. This bill removes references to the repealed provision and points to Chapter 5.50 RCW. Generally, which is, this is the exact amendment in the original state statute. So because this was purely a cleanup bill and we're running out of committee time before budget, this was referred directly to full council, and that's why there's no committee report, and I'm listed as the prime sponsor. Are there any questions? Excellent. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Councilmember Strauss. Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Is that the second vote? Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And will the clerk please read item 4 into the record?
The report of the Finance, Native Communities, and Tribal Governments Committee, Agenda Item 4, Council Bill 121068, amending Ordinance 127156, which adopted the 2025 budget, including the 2025 through 2030 Capital Improvement Program. The committee recommends the bill pass as amended.
All right. Councilmember Strauss, as sponsor, as the committee chair, you are welcome to give the committee report.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I've addressed this bill a number of times. The city of Seattle has worked hard in 3 different ways over the last year to speed the delivery of light rail to Seattle and reduce costs. This is one of 3 of those programs and projects that we've engaged in. First, we merged the Office of Waterfront that has a proven track record of delivering mega projects. We've put our Sound Transit staff, combined them in the Office of Waterfront. That's a good thing. Number 2, we cut red tape by streamlining the permit review for Sound Transit infrastructure. And number 3, these staff members that will be reviewing permits will expedite the amount of time that it takes to review and approve permits to build light rail. Time is money when it comes to building mega projects such as the light rail projects to West Seattle and to Ballard. This is an important bill to demonstrate to our municipal colleagues, other cities around the region, that we put our money where our mouth is. We add staff, we cut red tape so that Sound Transit can move more quickly, and there's also an accountability measure in here. These staff will be reviewing to ensure that Sound Transit has accurate funding projections. As you all know, the year of expenditure budget hole that is occurring at Sound Transit, this is one of those actions to reduce that year of expenditure hole. It's an important bill before us. Only 8 of the positions will be hired initially, and this gives the authority for up to 40 as we see permits continuing to come in. If we were to wait until and for the record, we've already begun receiving permits. If we were to wait to pass this until after budget or during budget, we would be selling ourselves short. We'd be getting in our own way to ensure that light rail comes to Seattle as quickly, as cost efficiently as possible. And I urge your support of this bill. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from anyone? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Aye. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much. Will the clerk please read item 5 into the record? Just a second. Yes. I'll say that thing. The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And will the clerk please read item 5 into the record?
The report of the Governance, Accountability, and Economic Development Committee. Agenda item 5, Council Bill 121072, relating to updating the structure and process of the Office of City Auditor. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you. As chair of the committee, I'll provide the committee report. So basically, this legislation is mostly technical changes. It amends the city code to reflect the work that the Office of the City Auditor actually does, and it's designed to match what other city departments and auditor offices do across the country, and to match those best practices. The Office of the Auditor was established decades ago, and this is the first time that the SMC has been modified to reflect what they are actually doing on a regular basis. And so that is what this bill does, and we went over it in committee. It passed out unanimously. And so I urge your support. And I also want to say that this is, Auditor Jones is retiring this year. And he took it upon himself to really work to focus his office on these changes. And I just want to say that this legislation will serve to cement the nationally recognized best practices of our very own Office of the City Auditor and everything that he's undertaken over the decades of his leadership. So, are there any questions or comments about the bill? Seeing none. All right, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Aye. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Aye. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And congratulations, David Jones, City Auditor. All right, will the clerk please read item 6 into the record?
Agenda item 6, Council Bill 121060, relating to the West Seattle Junction Parking and Business Improvement Area, modifying the exceptions to the levy of special assessments. Committee recommends the bill pass.
All right, this is a fix to one of our business improvement areas. It's needed because currently the West Seattle Junction BIA exempts businesses from being assessed if they're exempt from paying the B&O tax, and if the B&O tax ballot measure is adopted, there will be enough businesses exempt from the B&O to really impact the BIA's budget. It's an unintended consequence of the tax proposal that needs to be addressed. A public hearing was held on September 11th at our committee, and this item is now up for a vote before you now, and I urge your support. No comments? All right, seeing no comments, will the clerk please please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka. Councilmember Solomon. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And please read item 7 into the record.
Agenda item 7, Council Bill 121076, relating to the University District Parking and Business Improvement Area, modifying the process for selecting a program manager, modifying the requirements governing the composition of the BIA Advisory Board. The committee recommends the bill pass.
As chair of the committee, I'll provide the report. This is the second of 3 pieces of legislation that make modifications to our business improvement areas. This one was, like the others, requested by the BIA itself, and the bill before us eliminates both the RFP requirement for renewal and allows for more flexibility in the makeup of the BIA board. Again, this is strongly supported by the BIA itself and all of its members, Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? All right, moving on to item 8. I do want to clarify that if I gave people the impression that there was a third piece of legislation, there is, but it is not before us right now. We're going right into the next committee, which is the Land Use Committee. Please read item 8 into the record.
The report of the Land Use Committee, Agenda Item 8, Council Bill 121011, relating to land use and zoning, establishing the Roots to Roofs bonus pilot program. The committee recommends the bill passes amended with Councilmember Solomon, Strauss, Juarez, and Rink in favor, and Councilmember Rivera opposed.
All right, Councilmember Solomon, as chair of the committee, you're recognized in order to provide the committee report.
So this is where I move that the council adopt Council Bill 121011. Is there?
Second?
Sure. We're going to be entertaining amendments first, I believe.
First, we're addressing the bill, and then we will move into amendments B and C.
Right. So talk about the bill, and then we'll move on to amendments.
Okay, great. As chair of the committee, I'm actually going to defer to the bill's primary sponsor, of which I am the co-sponsor, Councilmember Rink.
Go ahead, Councilmember Rink.
Thank you, Chair Solomon, and thank you, Council President. Colleagues, this bill grants community-based organizations who are building affordable housing the ability to build more via a height and density bonus. This legislation creates a pilot program with a time constraint and a maximum of 35 projects total, with a maximum of 5 projects per council district. It will only affect the project after it has been approved by the city to use the program. And we've had a number of meetings from when this bill was introduced back in June, and the concept of the legislation has been in the making for years through a number of iterations. And I want to thank the partners who have worked with us. I want to thank Chair Solomon for partnering as a co-sponsor on this important bill, but I also want to illustrate several projects that could be a part of this pilot, organizations with projects that could benefit from this legislation. And these include, but certainly are not limited to, Filipino Community Village, Friends of Little Saigon, Central Area Youth Association, Urban Family, Brighton Community, Cham Refugee Community, African Community Housing and Development Organization, the Ethiopian Community of Seattle, Nehemiah Initiative, El Centro de la Raza, Bellwether, Greenwood, Mercy Housing Northwest, Greater Mount Baker Baptist Church, and the African Cultural Arts arts center, and last but certainly not least, our social housing developer. And altogether, this represents thousands of homes coming online, a large chunk of which will be affordable. And we need more housing of all kinds. We know we are in the midst of a housing shortage. The data has been clear. We need to create over 112,000 new affordable homes by 2044. And we know homelessness is a housing problem. And this bill offers an opportunity to help projects pencil now, creating more housing, community ownership, and jobs. It adds another tool to our toolbox in addressing the housing crisis. So colleagues, I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that overview. Are there any comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Solomon, would you like to say anything, or shall we go right into amendments?
Just to add a couple of things. You know, I think the primary author of the bill spoke quite well to it. I also want to echo the appreciation we have with the partnership with community stakeholders, all the folks who we've engaged with, in this process. To help strengthen this legislation. And I think the amendments that we're going to be hearing about help to limit potential displacement risks while continuing to ensure the community organizations are provided adequate tools to take advantage of the Roots to Roofs program. I want to thank Councilmember Rink and her office for this leadership on this legislation, and we ask for your support.
Thank you. Councilmember Hollingsworth. You are welcome to.
Awesome. I think Councilmember Rivera had her hand up, but I don't want to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to overstep.
Please go ahead to Councilmember Rivera. I did not see that.
No worries, Council President. I just want to say about this particular legislation, colleagues, I voted no at committee because I had heard a lot of concern from community about these projects. There were concerns about whether or not these projects are actually going to yield to actual affordable housing, and whether or not this is going to help the very communities it portends to want to help. I will say that I very much appreciate Councilmember Hollingsworth offering some amendments at the committee level, which I did vote for, and then she will be bringing, and you will hear from her about 2 amendments that after reviewing them, I will be supporting as well. And I will save the remainder of my comments for after she presents those amendments. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. Thank you, the Land Use Committee, for passing the amendments that I helped offered, and Councilmember Rivera for you bringing them forward into the committee. And thank you, Councilmember Rink and Solomon, for your work on this bill. The amendments I made initially for the committee were to, what I heard concerns from community, just to make sure that this pilot program could strengthen it, was 5 pilot programs per district, making sure that all of our district absorbed the projects. It also allowed for floor area and equitable development use to convert to another allowed use after 50 years. This is an ownership model. The third piece was specifically amendments, elements for council and planning commission review in 2030 to see how the projects were going, just so we could have a nice overview as council, and modify number 4 was to modify the definition of qualifying development to both majority ownership in a property and controlling role, a corporate entity. This was also to protect some of those nonprofits or community-based organizations to make sure that they had a true equity stake in it. This also had a limitation to Tier 2 tree removals, particularly in neighborhoods that were zoned in environmentally justice priority areas. Those include Southeast Seattle, Central Area, South Park, Highland Park, U District, Lake City, and Bitter Lake. After the comp plan, I worked with council central staff to draft initial amendments. Not all of my amendments were able to get through, but I feel confident today about these 2 amendments. Overall, they had obviously resource constraints, and our experts were both working on comprehensive plan and also other land use legislation, but we were able to get 2 amendments through. So I am going to move to amend Council Bill 121011 as presented on the recently distributed Amendment B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the bill as presented on Amendment B. Councilmember Hollingsworth, you've already, well, go ahead, you're recognized to address it. Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. And just in mind, these both were thinking about families in mind. This amendment requires 25% of the units have modern income units be at least 2-bedroom units. The median income, income units are defined in this bill as to households as 80% AMI for rented units or 100% AMI for owned units. And this would require at least 25% of them be 2 bedrooms or more. I've heard from community about wanting to ensure that we have family-based units in our city, and we're incentivizing those. And so this amendment I brought forward, and hopefully I can earn my colleagues' support on this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Are there any questions or comments about Amendment B? Go ahead, Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Hollingsworth, with your approval, I would love to be co-sponsor on this and your second amendment on this piece of legislation, because I very much think it strengthens this legislation. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Rink, as sponsor of the legislation, you're welcome to respond.
Thank you, Council President. I want to thank Councilmember Hollingsworth for your careful work in improving this legislation. I just want to voice my appreciation for your real thoughtfulness to this, and I will be voting yes on this amendment. The intent of this amendment is in alignment with what we're trying to achieve with this pilot. Since it's a pilot, I think more flexibility we can offer, the better, but I think that this strikes the right balance, and so I will be supporting it today. Thank you.
I'm not seeing, just a second. I see no other hands raised. I will say also that I'll be supporting this amendment for a couple of reasons. We absolutely need more 2-bedroom units in this city and homes. Families are being displaced, and if we're going to make any difference in our anti-displacement goals, this seems like this is extremely important. But the second reason is we have heard a lot of very strong concern about the base legislation, and I've heard the voices of the people that spoke in comment today in support of this amendment, and so I will be, for those 2 reasons and others, happy to support this amendment. So, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of Amendment B?
Councilmember Rivera. Aye. Councilmember Saka. Aye. Councilmember Solomon. Aye. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth. Yes. Councilmember Juarez. Aye. Yes. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The motion passes, and Amendment B is adopted. All right. Councilmember Hollingsworth, you may proceed with Amendment C.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to move to amend Council Bill 121011 as presented on the recently distributed Amendment C.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the bill as presented on Amendment C. And Councilmember Hollingsworth, as sponsor, you're recognized in order to address it.
Awesome. Okay, so I know sometimes parking can be a bad word, okay, and we get hammered for it. But this Amendment C, all this does is incentive for parking for family-size units by exempting the above parking from the FAR calculations. This does not mandate it. This just incentivizes it. Encourage the provision for family-size units, but building parking is not required. Working families can't always rely sometimes on one mode of transportation. I realize that, especially if you're near South Seattle, your transportation options look very different than they do in District 3. And we have to recognize that and see that. And if we want these projects built, we have to build them for the neighborhoods, for the people that live there. Families have been calling out the need for potential having a car option. This provides that without mandating it, okay? So for all the urbanists, does not mandate parking, it just incentivizes it, okay? So shout out to the incentivizing on parking, y'all. Thank you.
Calm down. Are there any questions or comments on Amendment C? Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Hollingsworth, agree with everything you just said. We need to try to incentivize parking because, as I have said, you know, when I always say when I was single, meaning when I didn't have kids, I took public transportation everywhere, and then I did have a couple kids, and it got more challenging, especially in Seattle. So we want to make sure that we are providing options while we are building a more robust public transportation system, which I fully support. And so this strikes a good balance. We're incentivizing, we're not mandating, but we also are incentivizing because we know families have needs. So appreciate the thoughtfulness around here. And again, happy to, if you'll have me, co-sponsor this as well. Thank you.
I do.
Councilmember Rink.
And colleagues, I will be supporting this amendment because it gives that increased flexibility for those who rely on a car to get around. I do want to note the underlying bill does not remove exemptions to accessible parking, which will always be required under the Americans for Disabilities Act. But this amendment provides increased flexibility. I think it strikes the right balance, and I thank Councilmember Hollingsworth for bringing it forward. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further comments. Oh, any others? All right, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of Amendment C?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Say my name? Yes. Aye.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The motion passes and Amendment C is adopted. Okay. Now we will open the floor to any further comments on the bill as amended. Councilmember Hollingsworth.
I'll be super quick. Want to thank you, Council President Nelson. Want to thank Councilmember Rink and Councilmember Solomon, obviously, for your leadership on this and listening to community. I know it's hard because there's a ton of community voices in this, and there's a lot of folks. And just because one community speaks for themselves doesn't mean that the whole community thinks that way or believes that way. And so I think this is a great first step, and I really appreciate everyone supporting some of my amendments. I know I think I had a lot. I think I had 7 to this, trying to make sure that I listened to everyone in the community and trying to find a right balance in supporting the concept and spirit of this bill. I also made sure that in the comprehensive chairs package to include the amendments that add some anti-displacement and equitable development pilots to the comprehensive plan, and also making sure that a lot of these projects can really go forward. And then to some folks that, had concerns about stuff, just know that I will be there for every project that needs me to look over stuff or talk to the developer or make sure that things are going the right way, to offer that not as a council member, but literally as a community member to this community, because oftentimes I take off my council member hat and I put my joy in the CD hat or joy in the community hat. So that's the first thing. And second thing, I'm voting on yes on this also because of the projects in some of the communities that I know that I've heard on that want this to go through, particularly and hopefully, and I told them I will walk through this with them, CAYA, which is off of 23rd, and the legacy of the great and late Joe Staten, who was the executive director of CAY for a long time and from Seattle, and played in our Major League Baseball. Played in our Major League Baseball for the Detroit Tigers, and was a really, really phenomenal baseball player with the great Bill North as well. But anyways, just putting in perspective, there are some projects that I'm looking forward to getting off the ground, and hopefully that this is an avenue for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, as I said earlier, I didn't support this out of committee because we all received a lot of emails from community with concerns about this project. And I really appreciate community, and specifically Black community, for reaching out to me and to us about this particular piece of legislation, because it had the unintended consequence of not delivering on what I think the goals, the intended goals were. And I very much appreciate when we're able to have a conversation and when we're able to bring amendments to make things better, and to get to a place that is closer to what I think was initially intended. And so I very much appreciate Councilmember Hollingsworth's partnership to get us to a place where I feel like I can support this legislation today, and also with my conversations with community members who are supportive of the amendments. I know that Councilmember Hollingsworth brought today to strengthen this legislation, and I was proud to serve as your co-sponsor, or sponsor at committee level, Councilmember Hollingsworth, for the amendments you brought then, because I thought those were helpful as well. Despite those out of committee, I still heard from community that they still had concerns, and I will say community still has concerns despite today's amendments, but I do think that this is in a better place, and I will also commit to continue to work with community on anything that we can do in the future to make sure that this is delivering on its intent to help Black and Brown community, with affordable housing opportunities, and then also community spaces and things of this nature as proposed in this legislation. So I will, because of that engagement with community, support this today. Thank you again, Councilmember Hollingsworth, and to community, thank you for your engagement throughout these many weeks and months of this particular legislation, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. Not seeing anybody, no other hand up. Councilmember Solomon.
Oh, just closing remarks.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Again, I want to thank everyone who brought amendments to this. Definitely want to thank you, Councilmember Hollingsworth, because I definitely think that the amendments that you brought address the community concerns that we've heard. And something else I want to address is, we have heard from folks who don't necessarily think that this is a good way to go. And I think the message, that may come out is that, oh, well, you just don't understand this thing, okay? If that's the perception that you got, that was the wrong perception, and I apologize if you got the perception, because the input that you gave us, the feedback you gave us, is how you were feeling. And we never want to discount how you feel about how things are impacting your neighborhood, right? Because it's your neighborhood, and things that happen in your neighborhood directly impact you. And we want to make sure that you are heard. And I want you to be assured that we did hear you. And we took your consideration, we took your thoughts, we took your feedback to heart as we looked at amending this bill, as we looked at making the tweaks to actually deliver what we intend for this to deliver. So again, know that your voices were heard, and never stop speaking up, because this is your city. And again, if the impression was that we were just saying, y'all don't know what you're talking about, that was the wrong impression. I apologize if that's the one that you got. So with that, my gratitude to the council, my gratitude to my colleagues, and I ask for your support of this bill. Thank you.
Councilmember Ring.
Thank you, Council President. And Well stated, Councilmember Solomon. Thank you. I echo that exact sentiment. Thank you for saying that. And colleagues, thank you for your thoughtful engagement on this piece of legislation. Thank you, Chair Solomon, for your co-sponsorship. You know, the idea of bringing back legislation of this kind that failed to pass last year came from conversations with community-based organizations and affordable housing providers back in January of this year. And from there, we've worked to draft and redraft again with input from stakeholder roundtables on the changes that needed to be made. And to give you a sense of also, since there's been some highlights about process, this bill was introduced in June with our first committee meeting on July 2nd. There was a public hearing on July 30th. Bill passed out of committee on September 3rd, and that brings us today, September 23rd, the final council meeting before budget takes over our calendars and our lives. And I offer that timeline because I know we've had a lot of avenues for engagement, and again, the amendments that have now incorporated into the bill, I think improve the legislation, and I believe strongly in this legislation. This is not a new idea, but a revised version now driven out of community conversations and concerns. And luckily, this pilot addresses and will serve as another tool in our toolbox when it comes to addressing the housing crisis. This pilot will be able to complement projects that get public subsidy, like from the Office of Housing, our housing levy dollars, or projects that get state housing trust fund money, creating deeper affordability options. And it joins with other tools that we have in our toolbox, like MFTE. I'm looking forward to seeing these projects come online to serve current and future residents of Seattle. Colleagues, I ask for your support on this bill. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I forgot my thank yous. So thank you very much for those comments and you to bring this forward. And thank you, Councilmember Rivera, for so diligently digging into the details of this legislation, being a steward of the community's concerns, and being the legislative agent for Councilmember Hollingsworth's amendments that improve the bill and make me able to go forward with this. So thank you very much, Councilmember Hollingsworth. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
As amended. Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Saka?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss?
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez?
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle?
Aye.
Councilmember Rink?
Yes.
Council President Nelson?
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes as amended, and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And will the clerk please read item 9 into the record?
Agenda item 9, Council Bill 121084, relating to land use and zoning, adopting temporary regulations to exempt housing projects to meet mandatory housing affordability requirements, using on-site performance units for design review, and allowing permit applications for all housing subject to full design review, the option of complying with design review pursuant to administrative design review, temporary suspending and allowing voluntary design review of proposed development in titles 23 and 25. The committee recommends the bill passes amended.
Thank you. Councilmember Solomon is chair of the committee. You're recognized in order to provide the committee report.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam President. The interim design review legislation is intended to provide a 6-month stopgap before council adopts permanent design review regulations, anticipated to be completed in spring 2026. The interim legislation would temporarily suspend required design review for 6 months, making design review voluntary for proposed development, while allowing such developments the ability to seek departures. These regulations will be in place while SDCI works to update the design review program and guidelines as required by new state law, as well as updating affordable housing measures. I urge support of this important interim legislation to ensure Seattle complies with state law and continues its goals to increase critical housing supply through Seattle.
Are there any questions or comments? Thank you for that report. Okay.
Oh, gotta move the bill, don't we?
What?
Do we already move the bill?
Oh.
Good. Okay.
I'll move it in a moment. Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, I just wanted to speak to this bill. I don't sit on the committee, so I wasn't part of those pieces. And as you heard from public comment, there is viewpoints on design review, and this kind of follows last year's design review legislation too. The one which I had an amendment to pull out logistics, basically residential and commercial loading docks, because of my fear of locking in different pieces. But this is different, and I wanted to say, and I think there might have been some conflation between those two bills. That's one reason why I bring it up. But I see that in many ways this is about aligning our city with new state law, and I am in favor of design review. But I also recognize design review has its issues, and it needs updating, and it needs to incorporate changes to ensure that it's really achieving the goals, to create guardrails. And the guardrails are for both on the development side, but also on the community sides as well. And for HB 1293, the law, I agree with the pieces that are part of that bill in terms of updating how we do design review. And it's really important that we do so, because we need to have it work, because right now there's a consensus that it's not working from both sides, and that's kind of an indication that we do need to move forward. And I make these points because I think sometimes there's some people who want to just ditch it completely, and I'm opposed to that. Absolutely opposed to that idea. And because I do see it, and I've seen it in terms of my own advocacy as a community member during my time with the Queen Anne Community Council. And the neighborhood has benefited from that engagement. The community has benefited from that design review work that was done by the developers and also the community members. And so I've seen it work. I recognize there's challenges. And so I look forward to working with SDCI, working with the executive, working with the committee, since I don't sit on it, as this bill as we move forward with the changes as required by House Bill 1293, but to ensure that we do have a process at the end of the day that does allow for design review, and it does so in a way that contributes to a smooth engagement, but one that doesn't unnecessarily hold back development, but at the same time ensure that we are good. So I just wanted to state those pieces related to design review broadly in a general sense, but also specific to this bill. Now, in some ways, I would prefer just a 6-month as opposed to the 6-month extension, but as we've seen with the comprehensive plan, public outreach and engagement doesn't happen quick, and so I recognize how those extra 6 months may come in handy. And by doing that outreach right, we can solve a lot of problems, because I do want to be the voice. I'm going to be engaging with our District 7 neighborhood councils, because as you heard, there are some members of the Downtown Community Council, South Lake Union Community Council, and others within District 7 that have concerns. Those concerns need to be brought up, and we'll do so individually with those groups, but also with the District 7 Neighborhood Council as we move forward, as this moves forward through the next year. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much for those comments. Are there any further comments? All right. Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill? Oh, wait, we now have to move it. All right. You're welcome to move the legislation.
Oh, okay. All right. I move for the passage of Council Bill 121048.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pass the legislation, and I don't think that there are there's further comment, but once, twice. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Aye. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink. Yes. Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And will the clerk please read item 10 into the record?
Agenda item 10, clerk file 314534, application of Scott Carr for a contract rezone at a site located at 352 Roy Street from Seattle Mix Uptown with a 65-foot height limit and mandatory housing affordability overlay to a Seattle Mix Uptown with an 80-foot height limit and mandatory housing affordability overlay. The committee recommends that the clerk file be granted as conditioned.
Thank you. Councilmember Solomon, as chair of the committee, you're recognized in order to provide the committee report.
Thank you, Council President. This legislation would rezone 5 parcels located at 352 Roy Street and accept the property use and development agreement limiting future development on the site. The rezone will facilitate development of a 215-unit mixed-use building with apartments and retail. The development has agreed to use the performance MHA option by providing affordable housing units within the development.
All right. Are there any comments? Okay.
Me, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Councilmember Kettle, sorry.
Thank you, Council President. This location, as is the next, is in Uptown, part of the District 7, and the MHA piece of this is important. It's not something often seen in District 7 in terms of moving forward with the MHA piece, and so I support this. And this is part of a neighborhood that is definitely densifying. There's a brand new apartment building complex, First North and Roy. So the neighborhood is going through a massive change in terms of upzoning and densification, kind of showing the possibilities that we can do, particularly in an area where there is the transit. So I just wanted to note, particularly given that this is in District 7, but also the uniqueness related to MHA actually in district and particularly in the area that we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Further comments? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll granting the clerk file as conditioned?
Councilmember Rivera. Aye. Councilmember Saka. Aye. Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss. Aye. Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Aye. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The clerk file is granted as conditioned, and the chair will sign the findings, conclusions, and decision of the council. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the findings, conclusions, and decision on my behalf? And will the clerk please read item 11 into the record?
Agenda item 11, Council Bill 121074, relating to land use and zoning, amending Chapter 23.32 of the Seattle Municipal Code at page 100 of the official land use map to rezone parcels located at 352 Roy Street. The committee recommends the bill pass.
All right, Councilmember Solomon, the floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you. This Council Bill 121074 would adopt the property use and development agreement.
Second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, and I move the to amend Council Bill 121074 as presented in Amendment A on the agenda.
All right. Second. Okay, are there any comments? I think that you would like to move Amendment A.
Okay.
Okay.
So again, this would, yeah, what I said before.
Yeah, Amendment A is on the agenda, and it's the executed property and the executed PUDA. That's what Amendment A is. It just allows the members to accept the executed PUDA. So right now in the bill, it has the unexecuted PUDA. And it's a property use and development agreement.
Okay.
That was the speaking point I was making earlier, actually, was the adopts a property use and development agreement.
All right.
Right.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the bill as presented on Amendment A. Councilmember Solomon, as sponsor, you're recognized in order to address the whole thing.
Okay. Again, As I said, this would allow the rezone of the parcels located at 352 Roy Street. Property is already in process, and the amendment adopts the property use and development agreement. So
All right.
ask for your support for this legislation.
Thank you very much. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of Amendment A?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss. Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries and Amendment A is adopted. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill as amended?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka. Thank you. Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth. Yes. Councilmember Juarez. Aye. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes as amended and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? All right. Will the clerk please read item 12 into the record?
The report of the Parks, Public Utilities, and Technology Committee, Agenda Item 12, Council Bill 121050, relating to Seattle Public Utilities, authorizing General Manager / Chief Executive Officer of Seattle Public Utilities to execute the First Amendment and restated contract between the City of Seattle and its long-term full and partial requirements contracts holders for the supply of water. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Councilmember Hollingsworth, as chair of the committee, you're recognized in order to provide the committee report.
Thank you, Council President. Hello, everyone. Council Bill 121050 authorizes the General Manager of SPU to enter into a revised agreement in 16 cities and water districts for the provision of wholesale water to those other entities. So the current contract signed in 2022 contains provisions to reevaluate the terms. Earlier this year, SPU concluded negotiations with 16 other parties to amend the current wholesale water agreement. 3 of the more significant provisions includes rolling automatic 10-year extension to allow wholesale customers to plan long-term. And this is helpful for city bond ratings. Stranded costs protections for the city and customers, which essentially requires entities that want to leave the system and reduce their purchase by over 5% to pay costs back to the remaining members. It also returns $27 million of overpayments to wholesale customers that have been accumulating since 2018. This will not impact the health of the water fund because the overpayments have been kept in a separate subfund. The bill would also impose a proviso on these funds to ensure their use for reimbursements only. So reimbursements only. Due to the budget change, this agreement does require 3/4 of majority of our council to pass in council. Thank you for your listening, and hopefully we can earn your support. Thank you.
All right. Questions or comments on this bill? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? All right. Will the clerk please read item 13 into the record?
Agenda Item 13, Council Bill 121069, relating to Seattle Public Utilities, authorizing the acquisition of certain real property rights by negotiation or eminent domain of 10 separate permanent easements. The committee recommends the bill pass.
All right. Continuing on with Chair Hollingsworth, you're
Thank
welcome
you,
to provide
Council
the
President.
committee report.
I'm just glad Councilmember Solomon wasn't the deciding vote for 3/4 majority of that. But thank you. There he is. Council Bill 121069 would authorize SPU to acquire 10 permanent easements and 10 temporary easements required to construct the SPU culvert replacement project in Fauntleroy, Councilmember Saka's district. Currently, SPU owns and maintains a 24-inch diameter clay culvert that completely bars fish passages, and it is failing. The replacement project would replace this with a culvert that is much bigger. It would be 14 feet wide, 3-sided with an open bottom, and it meets the state requirements for the passage of fish and stream flows. It would also restore wetland and stream bed habitat in areas up to 180 feet upstream and 80 feet downstream. This bill grants SPU this authorization that will be able to begin their negotiation with landowners for easements on their properties. And thank you. I know there was some discussion. We had the property owner join us, and I know SPU is committed to making sure that they work with them as these easements take place and we can kind of restore these wetlands. So I really appreciate your support on this bill. Thank you.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from, go ahead, Councilmember Saka.
Council President, I will be supporting this ordinance. I think it will allow SPU to, among other things, acquire the property rights needed to complete this very vital, as the chair noted, culvert and drainage improvements in this specific area, in Fauntleroy in particular, Brace Point. These updates are necessary to reduce flood risk, protect public safety, and support salmon habitat. Before this bill was even before committee, which I do not sit on, but before it was even before committee, my office had started to hear concerns about the project's impacts from some of my constituents. And so while I recognize that a specific residential building will be tremendously impacted, my office is working closely with SPU and SDOT to ensure that they're working to address the property owners' concerns to the full extent possible, mitigate any impact. So in any event, thank you. We'll be supporting this important project today.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. It always is good to hear the weigh-in of the district representatives. Thanks, I appreciate that. All right. Not seeing any further comments. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
Councilmember Saka?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss?
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth?
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez?
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle?
Aye.
Councilmember Rink?
Yes.
Council President Nelson?
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Will the clerk please read item 14 into the record?
The report of the Transportation Committee, Agenda Item 14, Council Bill 121023, relating to railroad franchises, amending sections 1 and 3 of ordinances 126969 and 126970 to correct an error in the name of a franchisee. The committee recommends the bill pass.
All right, Councilmember Saka, as chair of the committee, you're recognized to provide the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Council President. So, colleagues, this is a purely ministerial legislative fix to address previously passed legislation. More specifically, this legislation merely changes the name of something previously addressed via legislation. So the Burlington Northern Railroad Holdings, Inc., which was the former entity name, to BNSF Railway Company, in parentheticals, BNSF, comma, a Delaware corporation, and which again had a then correct, now incorrect name. in previous legislation. So now we're just adopting this legislation to make this minor but important change. Because this legislation addressed real estate, the city charter requires council action to approve this change. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera. Aye. Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink. Council President Nelson. 8 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? And will the clerk please read item 16 into the record, 15 into the record?
Agenda item 15, Council Bill 121040, relating to new vehicle types and curb allowances for e-cargo bicycle delivery, establishing a new vehicle type for e-cargo bikes, establishing rules for operation, parking, and loading for e-cargo bicycle delivery, clarifying new curb allowances for e-cargo bike delivery. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Okay, Councilmember Saka.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, unlike the past piece of legislation that we just passed, which was purely ministerial in nature, this is a substantive piece of very important and impactful legislation. It would, among other things, establish a brand new e-cargo or e-cargo bike permit program. Now, if passed by this council, this commercial e-cargo bike program will be the first such program in the nation of its type. Similar programs across 2 or 3 U.S. jurisdictions exist, but because of this legislation, none of the programs that currently exist in other cities across the U.S. have codified their programs, so this would be the first of its kind legislation. So for those who like first of its kind, first in the nation legislation, this would be a first for this innovative new program that would provide a formal permitting system and allow e-cargo bikes to park in designated specific curbside parking and loading zones. Just to be crystal clear, this legislation is not about the permitting of the commercial use of e-bikes, but instead it's really about responding specifically to urban goods delivery and providing a permit system for e-bike delivery to use parking spaces and load zones in a limited manner. This allows us collectively to better achieve our climate goals, facilitating last mile connections, ultimately I think helping improve better positioning our city to better improve on our Vision Zero goals and the like. And unfortunately, the gentleman who testifies a lot during public comment and I appreciate his testimony. He previously said during one of my transportation committee meetings, well, I've never heard of, there's no such thing as a refrigerator being delivered on a bike or a bus. I can't speak to the bus component, but with this legislation, it at least enables the possibility of having refrigerators and more be delivered via bike if it's 800 pounds or less. I ask for your support. A unanimously passed committee, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that and for the explanation and orienting us to its uniqueness and purpose. Thank you. All right, questions or comments? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
All right, the bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Colleagues, we have 2 more piece of legislation? All right, will the clerk please read item 16 into the record?
Agenda item 16, Council Bill 121058, relating to the Seattle Department of Transportation, amending ordinance 127156, which adopted the 2025 budget, including 2025 through 2030 and capital improvement program, renaming the Council District Fund CIP project to the District Project Fund CIP project, and lifting a proviso. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you. Councilmember Saka, please continue.
Sure thing. Thank you, Madam Council President. So, council colleagues, this legislation is needed to lift the proviso on the District Project Fund. You'll recall that the fund was under a proviso until further action by council. Rationale there being is that we created this new program, but at the time there were no parameters or guidelines around how that new program would be implemented nor processed. And that is the subject of the companion piece of legislation that we're going to be considering immediately after this, the next item. But now that we've worked through that with the department, we're asking that the proviso be lifted to allow us to better improve safety at the neighborhood level. Encouraging a yes vote. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Just kidding. All right. I'm not seeing any hands raised for comments. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez. Aye. Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you very much. The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? All right. And our last item. Will the clerk please read item 17 into the record?
Agenda item 17, resolution 32179, regarding the operation of a council district project fund as provided in 2025 adopted budget and 2025 through 2030 capital improvement program through council budget action SDOT 003A1. The committee recommends the resolution be adopted.
Thank you. Councilmember Saka.
Thank you, Madam Council President. And so thank you, colleagues. Last but not least here, this is a very important piece of legislation, an item that, in my view, is really a product or a creature, if you will, of our unique district council system. This legislation will adopt formal procedures and a process and a timeline to administer the district project fund to better position our city to make more rapid, urgent progress on our shared Vision Zero goals. Today, we have a number of safety projects and programs that live within the department, ranging from safe routes to school, safe routes to transit, neighborhood-initiated safety, any number of great programs that live across the department to ultimately improve safety. And we heard a desire for some council member directional control or at least influence on some of the neighborhood-specific, district-specific needs and priorities to supplement these existing programs and services that are in place. So the takeaway is now council members, the district council members will have a strong say in determining specific locations of proposed safety investments and improvements that they're hearing from their constituents. SDOT will retain full control over what is the best treatment option in the end, and both parties, the council offices and the department, will work collaboratively to figure out the best timing within the standard parameters that we set and established in this legislation. But this is an important tool to allow us to be more responsive to our communities for these smaller scale micro projects that are in people's neighborhoods and truly impact people's everyday lives and their perception of safety and navigability, that's a word I think, and interaction with our broader transportation system at the city level. So I want to thank SDOT for their strong collaboration in creating this legislation and working so closely with me in my office. And colleagues, I ask for your support. Thank you.
All right. Are there any comments? Well, I would like to thank you very much for being such a strong steward, not just for your district, but for small projects across the city that are important to the community and that the district representative may know about, but that not everybody does. And so it's an important way that we can advance those projects that might otherwise miss our recognition. So thank you for bringing this forward. All right. Councilmember. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll on the passage on the adoption of the resolution?
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Saka.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon. Aye. Councilmember Strauss.
Aye.
Councilmember Hollingsworth.
Yes.
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
Councilmember Kettle.
Aye.
Councilmember Rink.
Yes.
Council President Nelson.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
All right, the resolution is adopted and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? We agreed to pay our bills and approve the minutes. There is not a resolution for introduction and adoption today, so is there any further business to come before the council? All right, I'm not seeing any hands. Let's see, so this is our last full city council meeting. Normally one would say until after the budget, but there are a couple council meetings that will occur during budget season. We've reached the end of today's agenda, but the next city council meeting will be on October 7th. And no, that will be, let me just read this. The City Council's October 7th meeting will be canceled to make room for the 1 p.m. budget public hearing, and our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting will be held on October 17th at 2 p.m. All right. I don't see any hands up, so hearing no further business, it is 3:54, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair, Council President.